Right, 3, 2, 1. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Another podcast, the Strength Fan Podcast. Today we are joined by a good friend of mine, Lee Cross. I'm gonna go ahead and let him tell a little bit about himself and his story.
Yeah, my name's Lee Cross, born and raised in Bryan, Texas, like John. Stand-up comedian, lift heavy weights for fun.
Heck yeah.
I'll post it on the internet, and it gets pretty funny in those comment sections.
Yeah, it does. I've seen some of the comments.
Dude, okay, so John hit me up on Instagram. He's like, "Hey man, we gotta do this podcast." I'm like, "Cool. Hey, by the way, I got my notifications turned off on my social media. Here's my phone number." All right. I don't think anything of it. Middle of the day, I get this text message. "Hey, big guy, been following you for a while." And I'm like, who's leaked my phone number?
Oh man, that's what I did it for.
And I was like, who is this and how'd you get my number? And this dude sends me a cell. Dude, when I tell you the laugh, I laughed. Dude, I was howling. My coworkers were like, what is going on? And I told them what happened, and they thought that was hilarious.
I was gonna say something like, I've been in the shadows for a while, and I was gonna get more detail.
And I tell you, my heart rate was like, I was freaking out because like that's one thing I do worry about, because I do have a pretty decent following, and a lot of them are guys. They're all gay. They're cool. I love them. They're very supportive. Some of them are weird. They're very supportive. My DM requests are pretty wild. And so I was like, dude, did I put my phone number out on something? Like, I'm like trying to figure out like how in the world did my phone number get out? Yeah. Dude, honestly, I needed that laugh today.
Yeah. I was like, man, when I thought about doing it, I was going to just send you just a simple text, but I said, nah, you know what, I'm going to screw with them, because I do see a lot of those comments. So I kind of know what you're talking about.
Dude, and I was like, I gave him his dues. I was like, dude, John, that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and then I've been wanting to go to one of your comedy shows for a while. I know the last one that you told me about, something happened there.
Yeah, so I was doing, so I mostly perform stand-up comedy, but sometimes something just falls in my lap where I end up producing a show. And I'm not the biggest fan of producing shows, but when the opportunity presents itself, I've got to run with it. Yeah. And so we had a show at one of the local hotels here in town. They got a big room that they weren't using. And we tried to make it work. And the thing is I wasn't making any money off of it. And a lot of it, I was losing money because I was bringing my friends out of Houston to come and perform. And the one thing I will never do, I will never be known as someone who doesn't pay their comedians, because I've been on the receiving end of that. So I made sure that the money that I had to pay those comedians, they got paid first before I got paid. And there's a lot of shows where, you know, I was having to take money out of my own pocket, which I don't mind, because my friends out of Houston, these guys are killers when it comes to comedy. A lot of them are going to have really promising careers if they keep working at it. Okay. So I went back to the hotel and I said, hey, we're starting to do some pretty decent numbers. We're having about averaging 60 people a show. It's once a month. We either got to start ticketing the event, or you got to start giving me more money up front. And they didn't like either one of those options. So I was like, hey, it's been fun, but this just isn't going to work. It's not benefiting me to keep doing this, because that was taking time away from me to go out and perform. Because when you produce a show, it's not just putting together a lineup. It's putting the lineup together. It's promoting it on social media, word of mouth, dealing with the hotel, because I wasn't just dealing with one person in the hotel. I was dealing with the banquet manager, the bar manager, the general manager of the hotel. So you have all these moving parts, and I'm just this tiny little comedian trying to put on a show, and they're trying to run a huge hotel. So I wasn't big on their radar. No, okay. So they would get to me when they got to me. So like if I had a question, it'd be a week or two before they get back to me. But that's life, man. Sometimes that happens, and I don't regret doing it. We put on some great shows. We might do some, when the fall comes around, they might hit me back up. And I'm like, cool, but the money's got to be right.
Yeah, for sure.
It's got to be worth my time and effort.
So is it always like that, or is it just like that when you deal with like hotels and stuff?
It's just that with that one. Every now and then you will run into that thing, and it's not just me, it's other comedians that have put on shows. The venue wants to put on a show, but they don't want to put in any more money. And that's just what you have to deal with sometimes. We've got a regular show we do in downtown Bryan every Tuesday night at Word of Mouth. We do that every week. And the bar owner, Dustin Batson, really cool dude. He's been a huge supporter of us. We did shows at Third Floor Cantina when he owned it. Now we're at Word of Mouth. And he loves what we're doing. We bring him a lot of money. People drink at his bar, so it helps him out.
Yeah, win-win situation.
Exactly. So it doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, it sucks because usually it's at a really good venue. Like the hotel was a really good hotel. They had a great stage. We had, tables, chairs, food, beverage. You don't get that a lot of places. So I tried my best to make it work, but like I said, sometimes it just doesn't work out. No bad blood between me and the hotel whatsoever. In fact, some of the people that were working at the show have come to my shows at Word of Mouth, and man, we're cool.
That's cool.
So like I said, no bad blood whatsoever.
Okay. And I haven't even been to too many shows. I've been to a few, but props to you and everybody that does that. I know it takes a lot of guts. Like I had a buddy that tried out and did it. He's like, man, you won't believe how hard that is. Like,
It is very difficult because, the number one thing people fear is public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there, getting in front of a bunch of people you don't know and trying to be funny. And being funny on stage is not like being funny with your buddies.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's a whole different dynamic.
You already have that comfort build up.
Exactly. So what I tell people, usually when someone new shows up, they're like, hey, my friends tell me I'm funny and all that. And I'm like, that's good. This is not like that because because most of the time when you're joking with your buddies, you already know the situation or the inside joke. You have to, when you're on stage.
Yeah, you know the keys to hit already.
You gotta let the crowd know those details because these guys will come up and perform. And I'm like, man, you're missing so many details. That's why the crowd's not laughing. This could be
you're not getting them in.
This could be a great joke. You got to give them the meat and potatoes.
Yeah. Build up. Right.
So you got to build the foundation of the joke. And I work and I tell these guys, hey, please come back, try again, give us more information in that joke. And sometimes they do come back, and it turns out really well. And you have to give them that because when I started doing stand up back in 2008, I was at a bar on Northgate. It took me 10 years to figure out stand up comedy. So in 2018, I finally light bulb, here it is.
But man, that's cool. That just like anything in life, you got to put the reps in, huh?
Oh, absolutely. They say it takes 10,000 hours to get good at something, and that's anything: lifting, comedy.
That's crazy.
Anything.
I never heard that, but it makes sense.
Yeah,
for sure. So you say you grew up here in Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're the same age, right?
I'm 38.
38. Class of 05?
Yep. But see, I went to Allen Academy.
Okay.
I went to private school. The reason I went there, my family's not rich or anything like that. My mom taught there.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I ended up going there.
That's cool.
And I'm actually really happy that I went to Allen because I got to play sports and do music and choir and all these other different activities. If I would have went to Bryan High, there's only one path. You can't play football and be in the band. Yeah. You have to choose one or the other. Going to Allen, I was able to do those things.
But you got more of that like one-on-one as far as like
smaller class sizes. And thank God, those math teachers at Allen are the only reason that I graduated high school. Because, dude, I could not get college algebra. I couldn't get regular algebra. I just couldn't figure it out. When it came to like literature, or I excelled at PE, but like, literature, writing, biology, things like that. But anything that had to do with math, I just couldn't get it. But luckily, because the class sizes were so small, the teacher could say, okay, these kids are getting it. I need to focus on these kids. And I was one of those kids. And D equals diploma. And that is no lie, but because I could also go before class, I could go before the school day started. I could stay after, before practice or anything like that, and get that extra tutoring I needed. So for me, that was very beneficial.
That's cool. It's crazy because, ever since going to mentor, I'm starting to run into more people around like my age or, man, like I met Tucker there. I don't know if you've met Tucker.
We've met in passing, yeah.
So he's actually our age too, same age, same graduation year and everything. And I was like, dang, he's like, I never saw you on campus. And it's like, I never really saw you either.
Well, it's a big campus.
We know every single person. I was like, this person?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. That's pretty cool.
We actually do know one person, Lester Banks. So Lester Banks,
Football tickets.
yeah. So Lester Banks worked at Bryan High, but Lester Banks was a deacon at my church.
Oh,
So I've known Lester Banks my entire life. And then my mom took us to the Boys and Girls Club, and that's where I learned how to play basketball.
cool.
So when you take a kid that learned how to play basketball at the Boys and Girls Club,
Yeah.
and you brought him to a private school,
Yeah, so
that's a different kind of basketball.
You were hooping on them, huh?
Oh yeah. And basketball wasn't my sport, but my sister, she learned how to play basketball from Ernest Dinsey at the Boys and Girls Club. And so she took those skills.
Throwback. That's
way back.
Yeah.
Ernest Dinsey taught her how to play basketball. So when she went and played basketball at Allen, those white girls had no idea, because that's a completely different style of basketball. You know, basically it's street ball.
Yeah.
But my sister was very aggressive, and she got on a lot of accolades.
I didn't even spend much time there either at the Boys and Girls Club. Every now and then I'll go over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were serious about that stuff. Like what other sports did you play growing up, if any?
So
Basketball.
played baseball, Little League North. That was really the only sport I played until I got into junior high. Then I started playing football. And then when I was at Allen, I mostly played football and baseball. I did track and field, like shot put and discus. I wasn't great at it because our coach really didn't know how to coach it, but they gave us the opportunity. And high school is when I really started like working out with weights.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back on it, I was so lazy when it came to lifting weights. Like I knew I was strong. And so like, if one guy was benching 225, I knew I could bench more, but I didn't want to throw any more plates on, because that's how lazy I was. Mm-hmm. So I would just do the
Rep
225
for reps.
But I wouldn't even rep it out. If he did 5, I would do 5. Oh. I could do more, but because I was lazy, I was I was like, I know I'm strong, like, but it wasn't like I was cocky, like, oh, I'm strong. I was like, man, I don't want to lift anymore.
Yeah, it was just
and like looking back on it, I was just like, man, like imagine if I knew what I knew now back then.
Yeah,
like. Either throw more weights on there or do more reps.
Yeah.
But that was me being young and dumb.
Yeah, that's for sure. Same thing here. Like I remember going into gym classes. It's crazy, but I was never really passionate about the weights, because we were kids. Like in middle school, I remember they would have like a gym set. You know, one of those ones that have cables and it's all attached. It's, like I think call them like jungle gyms or something like that. So they would have that, and I would go in there and just mess around. All the guys would be like, let's see who could bench the most on there, and I'd try to max out that. But never really was passionate.
It wasn't a priority. There wasn't that passion that I have now. You know, it's not. Like I said, and it was just because I was lazy. I was a very lazy kid. Like playing football, our coach would say, "Hey, don't take a play off." There was a bunch of plays I took off. And one of them, our quarterback got sacked pretty bad because of me, because I didn't block. Just because I was late, because I was tired, but I wasn't tired enough where I couldn't have just I wasn't pulling anything out of the reserves to do more. And like looking back on that, it's just like, man, like, not that I regret it, but I'm like, I could have been better.
That's how I feel like I could have been better at certain, like, especially when it comes to football. But at the same time, like, I think everything in life happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
We're here.
But now, when I'm at the gym, it's like,
that's what makes you push harder.
Don't be that 17-year-old kid. If you can push out some more reps, let's push out some more reps.
But you know what's cool? I guess, like, for me, what got me into fitness, like, I think what was, like, the turning point, or like the part that I actually found motivation in was, I know I was talking to you before we started about wrestling and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up with my cousins and stuff, going to their house, and they were really into wrestling. I remember first seeing wrestling there. I mean, I saw like Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan and stuff, but I wasn't really into it then. It was not too interesting, but I got into it when it was like Stone Cold, The Rock, Sting, like all that.
Kind of like on its when it really started to like really go up and get popular in culture.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, still, I was a kid, so I really didn't understand physiques too much. I mean, I saw them and what they were doing, and it was just more entertaining. But the person I was drawn to the most was Stone Cold, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Just his attitude, like coming in there and
taking care of business.
Yeah, no kissing butt and just kicking ass and taking names, man. But yeah, as far as like fitness and stuff, for I guess that we grew up in like the I feel like I'm a little biased, but in the best you know age or time. Like we had Rambo, and we had all the
oh yeah, you had Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Wesley Snipes, Chuck Norris. These guys who are making these amazing action movies. They're in like their physique is phenomenal. They're just these awesome alpha dudes just going around kicking ass and taking names.
Because I don't think that there is anybody like in the last like what 10 years or something. I don't think there's anybody that's put on so many movies like that.
You could make an argument that The Rock has done that,
but
maybe Jason Statham. But the one thing I loved about those movies back then were like the cheesy one-liners from Arnold, and just like the shot where it's just like they're clearly just flexing to flex to show off their body. This has nothing to do with the movie or anything like that. And I'm not the biggest fan of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's movies. I'll still watch them. Yeah. Like the Fast and Furious franchise, dude, I'll just turn my brain off and I'll just watch, because I just want to see cars and explosions. Yeah. Not taking it away from Dwayne. I mean, he's a self-made man. He's done well for himself. But I don't look up to him like I would look up to Arnold.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For me, though, like you said, your turning point with working out, I don't know how, but I came across a CT Fletcher video on YouTube. Oh, yeah. Remember the old CT Fletcher videos?
So when was that?
That
had to be the last
that was
7
when I really the moment when I really started focusing on weight training and lifting. I want to say was probably 2013, 2014. I don't know how I came across this video on YouTube, but it was CT Fletcher. It was his story about who he was and what he is now. And he held like so many world records in lifting. Like I think he curled
like the curl, like strict curl, like 2 something, right?
Yeah, his back was against a piece of plywood and just a straight. And he was a giant dude. And I mean, back then he's still a giant dude.
Yeah, his
now.
arms are massive.
And I was just like, dang. And for whatever reason, that's what ignited. Like the pilot light was there. Like I was working out, but I was like not trying to see how heavy I could go or how many reps. I was just going to like maintain, I guess you would say. But that lit a fire under me. And I just happened to, I was working for Raising Cane's at the time. I was working in Houston. I got an opportunity to move to Conroe, Texas, because they were opening up a new Raising Cane's there. I went to the Phil Heath Classic in Houston. I actually have a picture of me next to Phil Heath. That dude is tiny. He's like, I mean, he's massive, but he's wide. He's 5'6". Right? Yeah. Like, and then I have a picture next to Branch Warren. I couldn't believe how short those guys were.
I've seen Branch Warren in person.
Great guys. Yeah. Got to shake their hands, take a picture with them. And I ran into a lady. She had a Metroflex booth. And I was like, because I was going to train at the Metroflex in Houston, but then I had just gotten told that they were going to move me to the new one in Conroe. I was like, where's your Metroflex? She's like, we actually are opening up in Conroe, Texas. And I was like, this is fate. So I started training at the Metroflex in Conroe. And like I said, so after watching that CT Fletcher video, after going to the Phil Heath Classic and running into Kim, who owns the Metroflex in Conroe, and started training there, dude, for whatever reason, I just ate, drank, slept lifting. And then I got into strongman training because their big focus on was they had they had a couple of bodybuilders that trained there, but they had a lot of strongmen that trained there. Mm-hmm. And so I started doing strongman training. And dude, I fell in love with strongman because there's one thing if you can deadlift, it's another thing if you can lift like the Atlas like Stone,
log press,
a log press, or a yoke carry, flipping big tires.
Yeah, I saw your video.
Oh, dude,
you were manhandling
that's really good cardio because that tire's not that heavy. I think it's maybe 100 pounds. But dude, I flipped that thing at least 50 times that day.
Yeah, really good technique too.
And it just, because I learned how to do it from the strongman, and that's a 100-pound tire. It's nothing for me to lift. But for me, I was like, okay, I know it's not heavy, but I'm gonna do a lot of reps with it. because one, working on form, it's going to help you with everything. Also, I don't do enough cardio. So for me, I'm not going to go jump on the treadmill. I'm just not that kind of guy.
Yeah, I don't.
If I'm going to do cardio, I'm going to throw on my plate carrier. It's about 40 pounds on me, and I'll go walk the dog, or I'll go do these tire flips, or I'll push a sled or something.
I mean, lifting weights in general, heavy weight burns. I think it's been proven to burn calories faster.
Oh, absolutely.
More calories, you know.
Absolutely. But I know that I still need to get the cardio in. But like I said, I'm not going to go run wind sprints. I'm not going to go run up a hill. But you know what? I'll go for a walk for 45 minutes to an hour with my dog.
That's good.
I'll flip tires. I'll do a sled. I need something, an activity that's going to
not get boring.
Because when I'm walking with my dog, because she's like looking at everything and all that, and I'm making sure she's not getting into trouble. So for me, it's got to be stimulating for me.
And it's good for the dog as well.
Oh yeah, no, she's living her best life.
Heck yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So was Metroflex like the first gym that you
so I trained at like those typical 24-hour fitness gyms around Houston.
The commercial gyms.
Yeah, the commercial gyms. And then when I went to Conroe, the Metroflex is that warehouse gym, and that's when I was like, this is the kind of gym I need. Because it's a different, like we train at Mental in Bryan, and it's just there's a different mindset when you're in there. The people that are in there, they're there to work on their physique, lift heavy weights, because the A&M bodybuilding club trains there, and those kids' physiques are phenomenal, and they work very hard for it. And for me, that's kind of motivating. And I'm like, dang, look at these kids. That gives me a little extra motivation. I was like, man, I can't wimp out when it comes to lifting. I gotta.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because we didn't have that kind of community when we were growing up, as far as something like that.
And what I love is I've realized I'm that old guy at the gym that people hey, can you come spot me? Absolutely, let's do it. I love when people ask me for a spot.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell me, what do you need? You want me to lift off? You're in control. Just tell me what. You just need me to stand here and make sure you're safe. I love having that responsibility now, or they'll see me I did
because they feel safe. Obviously trust you enough to come over there and give them a spot.
It was when the other day when I did the 120 dumbbell push press, I had 3 guys come up and they're like, "How are you able to lift that?" Yeah. And I was like, "Dude, back in my heyday, I could do 205 no problem, And I was like, "This is I just enjoy lifting the heavy stuff, and my shoulders don't hurt anymore, because I've been rehabbing those." And so I was like, let's throw some heavy weights up. And if I posted a video and I cropped it down, but I watched the original video and I saw people staring at me, watching me. Yeah, and I did two reps on each side. And so when I got done, they were like, dude, that was impressive. And I'm like, I know. But I love I don't lift the weights to impress people. I do it because I enjoy it. And I'll post it online because I want to show off what I can do, but I don't do it because I'm not.
You're not seeking attention or anything like that.
I am and I'm not. It's a fine line. I want to show off what I can do. But if only 300 people watch it, cool. I hope those 300 people loved it. My big thing where I show off is doing stand-up. I want you to laugh. I want you to applaud, things like that. Well, the cool thing about me posting my videos and my weight loss journey and everything, I've actually had now 9 people reach out to me and say, hey, because you're posting these videos and you posted your photos of you losing weight, you've inspired me to get back in shape. And I'm like, man. That's what, for me, I love that. I'm glad that I've influenced you to do something better with your life. I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And that's that's kind of my goal as far as what I post. I post a lot of training, and I know some people they're like, dang, he's posting the same thing as squat bench. But literally, a lot of my training, it's just a dialogue. It's to track my training, and it's so that my coach he follows me and he can see where I'm at.
Oh yeah,
how I'm doing these lifts, if I'm executing properly, if I'm getting stronger, any mistakes I'm making, and just make sure that I'm staying on the plan. That's what I do it for. But I mean, at the same time, it's good to be able to watch. And I try to I'm not a perfectionist, but I try to see little mistakes that I might make or habits, or tendencies, little things. I'm constantly kind of critiquing myself.
So I do the same thing with my stand-up. I'll record my set. I'm not going to post it online, but I'll watch it and I'll go back and watch it. and I'll take notes. I'm like, oh, we need to work on this bit right here. Or, hey, after you say this punchline, there's an applause break. Wait for the applause. Because especially when I'm trying new jokes, I don't know when the applause is going to come.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm watching it, and you'll see me, and I'll catch myself now because I've been doing it long enough, I can tell when the audience applauds. You'll see myself catching myself, but I need to make it look more natural. I don't want to be caught surprised because the audience is like, oh, is he going to say something else? And they'll stop applauding when that happens, and you don't want to lose that momentum.
Like I said, I've only been to a few, but so you kind of like already prepare for like when the laugh is gonna come in. Do you ever get thrown off by like them laughing like at something that you didn't even realize was gonna be funny?
So sometimes when I'm doing a set, I'll say like, so I'm more of a storyteller. So when I'm telling the story, I'll have little one-liner, little jokes in between, because you want to keep the audience's attention. And I had this joke about, Krispy Kreme donuts, and I've got it down to an art. But one time I was up in Magnolia a couple weeks ago, and I was telling this one little joke in this big joke, and this lady on the front row just started dying laughing because that little joke that I said had literally happened to her. She was in the same situation.
Right? Yeah.
And so for me, that's when I can connect with my audience. I was like, this happened to you too? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, I know it.
Yeah, I like that.
And so that's like, the one thing I love about comedy is, like, yes, I'm performing, but I want the audience to be like, I'm telling you a story, but if you want to interact with me, as long as you're not heckling, I want you to interact with me. If I say something funny and you can relate to that, I want to talk to you about it. Like, I want to be like, hey, you and me, we're on the same page. That's the one thing I like about comedy, is because even though I'm on stage, we're all the same people.
Mm-hmm.
I just have basically the guts to get on stage
and
tell those stories.
Yeah.
But I make sure that my comedy is very relatable to the average person, because I want us to be able to sit there and then be like, no, like, when I went to Krispy Kreme's, the same thing happened to me, like that. Like, they can relate to that.
That's cool, and they get to release that. That's what, man, I think a lot of times people take life, like, not that you don't need to take life serious, but like they take things a little too serious. Like, I love when you can relate with people about certain things.
And that's the thing too. It's like, I want my audience, I want to tell this story and be like, hey, you've been here, right? When you talk about relationships, families, funny things that happen to you throughout the day, work experiences, we all have those. And I always joke that, stand-up comedy is like my therapy, because I've got all these things, these issues and things that I've dealt with. Let's heal together.
Yeah, exactly.
Laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the gym. It's like, I go to the gym. My dad asked me this the other day. He's like, it was right after I posted that 315 incline bench. He was like, why? And I was like, man, I don't know. There's something inside me. There's a hole inside me. I don't know what it is. I try to fill it with comedy. I try to fill it with working out, and don't know why, but I think that's what's going to help me heal whatever that is. And he was like, hold on. I'm like, I'm not saying like I'm in a bad place or anything, but it's like, man, when I can make an audience laugh, that makes me feel good. Like, I love making people laugh. I love knowing that I'm strong. And I told someone the other day, I was like, dude, I was put on this earth to lift heavy things and to make people laugh. And as long as I keep doing that, man, I have fulfilled my purpose on the earth. And he doesn't get it, but at the same time, my dad wasn't really big into working out. So he doesn't get it. My dad, he is not a showman in any way, shape, or form. So he doesn't understand why I enjoy it, but he understands that doing that makes me happy. But he's like, you're 38 years old. Why are you lifting these heavy weights? It's like, because I can.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't do this a year ago. It's taken me almost a year to get to being able to lift the weights I'm lifting.
It's a privilege to be able to do that.
And that's the thing too.
And it's a gift. But it's something that if you don't keep it, I guess stimulated, it'll go away, man.
Because I remember 4 years ago, I was sedentary life, wasn't going anywhere. I had a job, but it was just, bills were paid and it was just stagnant. And I wasn't going anywhere in life. I wasn't fulfilled. Like, yeah, I was doing stand-up, but I wasn't taking it seriously. I was just doing it because it was fun. But then, kind of had the revelation, the same thing. I found a old CT Fletcher video came back up, and I was just like, oh, like, man. And I looked at myself and I took, inventory, and I'm like, man, I wasn't like this, 8 years ago. What happened? And I had to do a thing where I sit there and had to be honest with myself, and like, okay, we're here right now. And the one thing I didn't beat myself up. I had to give myself grace. And it's like, okay, we know where we've been. We're here right now. Mm-hmm. We can get here again. And slowly but surely, we're getting there. And that's another thing why I record videos of me lifting and all that, so I can see what I did a year ago. A year ago, I couldn't even do 225 bench. Now I can do 315 for reps. I couldn't squat 540.
Yeah, you have to remind yourself like you are a badass.
Oh yeah, because there's those days where you're just having a bad day, and and I have photos of me a year ago where I was full body picture in my underwear, and I make sure I take those those photos now, because I'm still sitting at 395, and I'm like, man, I'm 395 pounds, but I'm like, hold on, I go look at that photo, man. Last year when I was 395. I didn't look like I do now. I didn't have the big
form like.
Oh yeah, my neck is bigger, my shoulders are bigger, my chest is bigger, and I know I can push this heavy weight around. I'm like, okay, you're on the right track. Don't get depressed because you don't have a six pack. Mm-hmm. Don't get depressed because you still got a belly. Like, yeah, but that belly we had a year ago, that was a lot bigger. You're working your way down there. And that's the thing too, is when I tell my friends, like a lot of my friends are, trying to better themselves, and they get down and they get depressed, and they'll post something on social media, and I'll like, hey, like I've been there. Don't get down on yourself. Give yourself a little grace. It's okay to mess up. You're still on your journey. That's the thing, that it's a journey. There's no end to this. You have to keep going down that journey, and it's a fun journey. And sometimes it's a sucky journey as well. But that's the thing too. It's like, if you don't hit a lift, hey, you know what? Guess what? You get to try again later. Yeah. Just because you didn't hit that weight, not a big deal.
Yeah, I used to like early on, when I started in the gym, I went to like a 24-hour Aerofit. It was a small little club. I watched CT Fletcher, Mike Rashid, all those guys, and they were the ones that kind of like turned my training around. Because I went in there and I knew what I was doing. I knew I used to do the P90X and stuff, mm-hmm. and it was cool being able to be fit, because my ultimate goal, regardless of anything, appearance wise, my goal was to be able to like move and be able to do things I like. Just because my family, I come from like a bigger family, and I've seen my family struggle with certain things. So my thing was, I always want to be able to do things with my kids, and along the way, I'm a smaller guy, so if I can't grow like this, at least I can grow wider.
Exactly.
But watching CT and stuff. But the cool thing that I can relate to you as far as the Metroflex. We had a Metroflex. I don't know if you remember that.
They had one here for a little while, and unfortunately, I wasn't here. I was living out of town when they opened it. But I was like, I knew I was going to move back, and I'm like,
gotta go.
Awesome. As soon as I move back to Bryan, I'm gonna join the Metroflex there, and it's gonna be great. And then it shut down.
Yeah, that's the only Metroflex I've been to, and I've seen a lot of like dope Metroflexes, but that was my first time getting a taste of that kind of environment. I guess like a somewhat of a warehouse gym, mm-hmm. a little more rugged, used equipment, iron plates, and man, I loved it. I was like, man, screw like that. I will never go back. I'll go train there if I had to, but I just will never go back to commercial gyms.
And that's the thing. Like, so we had the new Crunch open, and I knew the gym Mental, we're gonna lose some people because it's the fancy new thing. Mm-hmm. But like, you can't use chalk there. Mm-hmm. It's always crowded. Every time I drive past it, the parking lot's full. But I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm glad someone's found that as their gym. I'm glad that they found that. Mental's my place.
Yeah.
Like before Mental, I was training at Fantasy Fitness and Snook, and that's a fantastic gym. I just didn't like driving 20 minutes to go work out.
So I heard about that gym.
It's a great gym. I love it. I trained there for about a year. and I absolutely loved it. The only thing is I didn't like the drive. Driving from Bryan to Snook, it's about 20 minutes.
I might have to check it out one day because my in-laws live in Snook.
Yeah,
Tunis.
It's a fantastic gym. They have their equipment's a lot newer than what Mental has, but you can get a great training session. They have a lot of different equipment, like they have a pendulum squatting machine, which is a game changer when it comes to leg day. So definitely recommend that. And I know a lot of people who still train there, and we communicate through social media. And anytime they have an event down there, if I've got the time, I'll go out there because it's a great community out there. And no matter where you train, if you train at a corporate gym like a Gold's or a Crunch, awesome. I like that for you, but that's not me.
For sure.
Now if I end up moving somewhere, or if I'm out traveling, doing a show, and there's not a gym like Mental, I got no problem going to a Gold's for get a day pass or something, just so I can get a workout in.
But I think there's something for everyone, and I'm not knocking on commercial gyms if that's for you. I mean, some people like the cleanliness of some of those places as well. It's just like if you get somebody like a runner, there's runners that only like running on the track, and then some of them only like running trails. Some of them love like road work.
Yeah.
Some of them like the treadmills. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Hey, as long as you're doing what you love, who am I to tell you how to, like, if I say, I don't like commercial gyms, I think they're stupid. Well, cool. What does that mean? Yeah. There's some people, they're like, hey, I love this because, I can only afford, to train at Planet Fitness. Awesome. And I really hope you're getting a decent workout there. I know you can. I've seen people train there that have great physiques. Hey man, if that's the reason you train at Planet Fitness, awesome. I hope you're successful in your journey. If you ever have any questions or anything, I tell my friends all the time, you have any questions about working out, hit me up. I'm not a personal trainer, but I know some things. If you're looking for a personal trainer, I got a whole bunch of friends who do. I know exactly who to recommend for who, because some people, they're really introverted, so they don't need a big boisterous trainer. Cool. I know you can use this trainer over here. If you need someone to be in your face and to motivate you to work out, I got this guy over here. Like I know who to send to who and whatnot, because because my friends, I want the best for my friends. If they need a personal trainer, I was like, I know exactly who to send you to. Just let me know and I'll put you in contact with them.
Okay. But with just heavy weights, it does something for me. Like, I'm not like. I think I stopped like with the physique thing a good while back. I don't mind being in shape, man, but just something about like, I'm a powerlifter. I do powerlifting, so just those movements and perfecting my craft and doing those, I just love it. But sometimes I don't even realize how strong I am. And like somebody asked me if I needed a spot the other day, and I was doing can't remember. I think it was like I don't remember what the weight was, but I was like, man, I guess it's heavy-ish, but this is like my lighter day. But I told him I appreciate it. Like, I love Mental just because of the people there, man, the community.
Oh, yeah.
For me, like, I was thinking about that the other day. I saw a video online, and I was like, man, Mental does it for me because of the vibe in there. Like I had a home gym, and I built this home gym because when that Metroflex closed down, COVID happened around that time too, and they were closing. I was like, I'm not going back to a commercial gym just because like the type of training, like you said, like a crunch, no chalk and stuff like that. So I was like, man, I love the deadlift. And I was like, some places won't let you deadlift.
Yeah.
So that's why we started our garage gym, and when we were doing that, I was like, I'm just never gonna go back to those kinds of gyms. But I did this here, training, not in this one, but in the garage and here for like roughly 5 years.
Yeah.
And just isolated and training on myself. But there were times like I've been like, you talk about like being like depressed or down or just like those dark times and stuff. I've been there, like it happens to everyone. And before, like I used to like not make fun of, I would never make fun of people of that, but I didn't like believe that it was real, like depression and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I was there, like when I was younger. I was like, depression. You're just sad. Go outside.
go do something. There has to be something that you can fix. It's something that you can fix.
I think for me, the reason I thought that is because I didn't have enough life experience, and then I went out into the world, and man, if you let it, the world will get you.
Yeah, it'll eat you.
It will consume you. If you just I don't watch the news, not to get political or anything. Ain't nothing good on the news. It's just bad. I remember back in the day, like when you were watching the news, they'd always end it like on a fun thing, like, oh, look what this puppy can do. They give you a little hope. And I think that's the reason I like stand up is like, yeah, man, the world's pretty messed up. But hey, the other day this happened to me, and there's a war going on over here. Cool. And nothing really I can do about it. But, for me, it's all about controlling what I can control.
For sure.
And then the people around me. So I always make sure that I'm in a good mood, and people around me make sure they're in a good mood. Make sure my coworkers are in a good mood. Hey man, if you need, I tell my coworker, hey, if you ever need to talk, if you need a vent, I'm here for you.
For sure.
Whatever you need, because there's just so much bad going on in the world. The one thing you don't want is to be in that bad spot. And if, my friend venting to me about the bad day they had at work, if that makes their day, it makes them vent. Yeah. I was like, dude, I've heard it all. I've seen it all. I've been around the block a time or two. Like, there's nothing really you can tell me that's going to like shock me.
Yeah. I don't watch the news either because, the whole world is set up to where they're trying to make you make a choice.
Yeah.
Either red or blue. And here we are.
Right.
That's the only choice that we have.
That's not a bad choice either.
I told him red or blue, and he didn't even know what I was giving him. But that's what they try to make you do. Even I had to separate myself from something also as simple as watching sports, just because I realized, man, I was drinking and I was watching sports, and if my team didn't do good. Not being a sore loser or anything, but you're sitting there watching sports for 3 hours or whatever the game is. That's a big part of your usually Saturday or Sunday, and I would watch it with my family. And it's a roller coaster, emotional roller coaster that you're watching. You're glued to the TV, and your heart rate's up, and it's controlling all your emotions. And then when your team ends up not getting the better deal of the game and they lose. You're just like, man, now I'm drained from my emotions being in it. And now my team lost, and then I got to hear all the backlash from people who don't like it.
Well, see, like you're a Texas University fan, and I'm an Aggie fan. Yeah. And you know what? And it sucks being an Aggie. There's a thing called the battered Aggie syndrome because we hype ourselves up, and then we get beat by Appalachian State.
But, I think every university and every team, like sport, is going to go through that.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the awesome thing about being a fan. Is that you just ride with it, no matter what.
But that's the one thing I can't stand, though, is Dallas Cowboys fans. Because this is our year. Buddy, it hadn't been your year since the 90s. But at the same time, hey, man, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, man, I'm happy for you. If that's what brings you joy. But like you said, you can't let it control you. I used to be like that. I used to get, this wasn't when I wasn't training or anything. I would watch sports, and I was like, I was... when the Texans became a team, I was like, all right, this is going to be my team. And I would get so into it. And if the Texans lost, my week was ruined.
It sucked for a good while.
Yeah.
Man.
And so I finally had to break away from watching that.
Yeah, I did.
And I didn't watch the NFL for the longest time. Not for because, Colin Kaepernick was kneeling. Just because I was like, man, I'm not in a good mindset when I watch it. I recently started watching it again. And I started watching Hard Knocks on HBO just because it's entertaining. Yeah. It's a very entertaining. And Dan Campbell, they were doing the Lions training camp, and Dan Campbell, who played for A&M, he was out there with his team, and they were doing up downs. Dan Campbell was doing the up downs with them. Dang. Yeah, and I was like, dang, if the head coach is doing that, and I watched him when I was like, I think I want to be a Lions fan. Yeah, because I love Dan Campbell.
I love the sport, and it's some people I remember some of my friends, they were like, hey, how, and they knew how my team did or whatever, but I was starting to train so hard. I said, you know what? I'm gonna stop letting those things control my feelings because I can't even control the outcome of that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I started like hitting the weights even harder because I was like, what I can control is I can control my nutrition, my recovery, all this stuff, so that I can perform because this is what I'm doing.
Oh yeah.
And I took a break from. I would see the scores, and my wife was still watching it. She was still in there. Hey, and she would get mad at me because I'd be like, I don't care about them. She's like,
Yeah.
but
we've learned that okay, our team lost. All right, cool.
I grew. I was able to grow from it, and the biggest reason that I started watching it again, even like back to myself, but now I'm better because I don't allow it to do that to me anymore. But it's because my son now he will not stop talking about
Yeah.
those teams. He's like, hey, did you hear about the Texans? Dude, they got this person. They did, and it's just awesome to be able to
Yeah,
now.
but you got that. You can bond over that.
And I have to set an example too. I can't sit here and get upset and let this dictate how the rest of my days go because of this. So I mean, it's growth and it's something that I learned.
Yeah. But hey, good for you for like noticing like, hey, this is affecting me in a bad way. I got to step away from a while.
Yeah.
You know, there might be a point where I'm like, hey man, I need to step away from the gym for a while because I remember back in the day I was training 5, 6, 7 days a week. And it was like physically and mentally not good for me. Oh, yeah. So I had to learn to step back from it. And so now I know, like, for me, especially as old as I am and as many miles as I have, it's like, hey man, if I'm hurting, if I'm a little too sore, maybe we take a day off. There's no reason to go in there. I got nothing to prove. Like the other day I did chest, but man, it was a real light chest day. Cause I was like, you know what? I don't feel like throwing up some heavy weight today. So I did an intense workout with some lighter weights and it felt great. But I was like, man, I know if I keep pushing myself, eventually something on this body is going to break. Yeah. It's going to be this left shoulder. So my thing is making sure that I'm rehabbing this shoulder, doing not just seeing how strong I can get, but making sure that my overall body is in good shape. Because if I break this shoulder, then I'm out of commission. So I'm not going to be able to work out. It's going to affect my work. Stand-up comedy is going to be difficult, so I've got to make sure that, it's the whole, too much of a good thing is actually bad for you. Yeah. So the big thing too is, everything in moderation.
I saw someone share that. I can't remember on Instagram. They were like, dang, remember when we were as young that we didn't sit there and say, hey, we just said my left shoulder and my right shoulder. Now we say a good shoulder.
Good shoulder, bad shoulder. Yeah.
They're like, man, those were the days. But yeah, man, I talked to one of my buddies earlier when I went to go train, and his shoulder was bothering him. He was asking me some stuff, and we were talking about like goals and stuff. He's a little not too hard on himself, but man, you have to allow yourself. First you have to have I guess like a goal, and don't set it too high.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it is good to set real high goals, but at the same time, like, give yourself credit throughout the journey and step back and look where you started and where you are now. Because he was asking me why, and like you talked about the weight, he was like, why am I this much? But my waist has gotten smaller, but I'm still the same weight. And I was like, that's a win in its own. Like, you just answered your own question, Give yourself credit for that. And then he was talking about someone from the gym, and I said, hey, man, I'm not chasing this and this. I was like, for me, man, if you can do something better than what you did, when you started, you're doing good, all right? And that's it. That's all I care about, man. I care that I can perform like simple tasks, and I can move around, and that's all I care about, and just, I guess, getting better each day.
I always tell people when it comes to goals, you can have a big goal, but you need to have little bitty goals in between that are going to build up to that big goal. Because like for me, my goal is to get back to 265 pounds. Okay. That ain't going to happen, in a couple of months. I've got to do a bunch of little things right to get there. So that's the goal. What are we going to do? What are those smaller goals I can do that are going to get me there? So, it's, making sure, is my nutrition on point, making sure I'm hitting those little goals. Am I staying consistent at the gym? Am I training? I'm not trying to hit, a bench press PR every time I go to the gym. Did I have a good workout? For me, it's when I go to the gym, when I get done, was that workout beneficial? What do I need to work on? So you can have a good workout, but they're still like, oh, you know what? Probably could have done a couple of more reps. Could have done a couple extra sets. Okay, cool. Take a note of that. Next time we do that, let's make sure we take a note of that. Also, how do you feel after the workout? Do you feel mentally drained? Like, you should feel physically, yes, we're going to feel drained. But like, are you in a good headspace after you get done working out? Because there's days where I go to the gym and I just got a bad attitude, had a bad day. But I leave the gym and I'm like, man, you know what? I feel good now.
Yeah.
But if I still feel that way, man, why do I still feel that way? Let's take a look on why the workout didn't make me feel good. Most of the time it's because I'm not eating good. Had a couple too many Whataburger trips.
Yeah.
And that will make a huge difference. I tell people all the time, since I've really been focusing on my nutrition and diet, mentally I'm doing a lot better because, less processed foods and everything in my body, I feel so much better.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I told Ali that the other day, like, like the saying goes, you are what you eat. When I eat like crap, I perform like crap. And my wife likes to, like, I haven't drank since my son competed that weekend. I told myself, like, I'm getting ready to compete again. And I say, you know what? Like, usually what I do is I'll take like a month or two, like, just no drinking. Those are empty calories. And I was like, I'm just gonna, take that part away and be able to eat my food, for calories. But yeah, I mean, when I do eat like crap, I feel like crap.
Oh yeah.
I perform like crap, and I'm just sluggish. So yeah, you are what you eat.
Yeah.
How did you get into comedy?
So I grew up doing theater here in town. So I was like a jock playing sports and everything, but I was also a band kid. My sister got into acting at the theater company here in town. And I saw her do it, and I was like, man, I could do that. It was kind of we had a little rivalry growing up. That's my sister played sports, I played sports, who could get the most accolades and things like that. So she started doing theater, and I was like, I can do that. And so I started doing theater, and man, I loved it. That's when I found out I loved entertaining people. And so I got into, doing theater, and we did all musicals. So I was singing, dancing, and acting, and I loved it, man. I absolutely loved it. And I don't know how I heard about it, but someone told me, they're like, hey, there's a guy doing stand-up comedy at O'Bannon's on Northgate. And I was like, man, I'd watch stand-up comedy, but I never was like, oh, I want to be a stand-up comedian. That thought never really crossed my mind. So I went and watched it, and it was pretty cool. And I talked to the guy, and he was like, yeah, I'm here every Thursday, doing an open mic. And I started doing it and fell in love with it because, I already knew how to, because I had those years of experience doing the, community theater. I already had the stage presence. I wasn't scared to be in front of people. So I just had to learn how to write jokes. And that's how I fell into it, And it's weird too, because, with all my travels doing stand-up, I meet other theater kids who started in theater and then worked their way into stand-up.
That's crazy. Like, I wouldn't put those two. But it
blows people away when they find out. Like, I played Amos Hart in Chicago here at the theater company. Love that role. I've been in Music Man. I've done that musical 5 times. Peter Pan, Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. I've done all these musicals, and I still listen to a lot of the music because it brings back memories of, because I had fun doing those shows. Or if a new musical comes out, I'll listen to it to see what it's about. And it always blows people away. They're like, you're a theater kid? I'm like, yeah.
Do you still get like a rush like when you get up there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, people ask me all the time, hey man, are you nervous when you go on stage? Absolutely. Because I get nervous because I want to do good. I'm not nervous like, oh, like I hope I laugh. I was like, man, I hope I do good.
Yeah.
And it's that rush because, once you walk out on stage, especially if like I'm like at a theater and the lights are on you and you get that microphone in your hand, and dude, it is just like, it's like getting under the bar, getting ready to, lift some weight. It's very similar.
Yeah, because I think people often mistake nervousness for fear.
Yeah.
But it's not, man. I always feel, if you're nervous, when I tell people, like, even my son, when I'm like, are you nervous? No, I'm not nervous. I'm like, you're mistaking nervousness for fear.
Yeah.
If you're nervous, that means you're dialed in. That means you're taking it serious. You're ready. Like
it's like when I played football, I was the center. And so before every play, I had to try to read the defensive line and linebackers and relay that back to my quarterback. And, there'd be a little hesitation in my voice because I don't want to make the wrong call, and he's obviously going to read the defense too, but I'm trying to help him out as best I can, and it's before every snap, it was just like, all right, then the nerves go away once you snap the ball because it's go time. And it's the same thing. Once I get on stage, grab the microphone, and I start talking to the audience, dude, nerves go away. And it's almost like I'm running on autopilot. Because I've been there before. I've done this hundreds of times. I know the jokes I'm going to tell. I know those people are going to laugh at these jokes. And that's one thing when you see like newer people doing stand-up, it's fear. Because they're scared because it's a new thing for them. It's a brand new. And if you're backstage at a comedy show, you'll see different comedians doing different things. Like somebody will be reading their notes, somebody will be listening to music, somebody will be playing on their phone. Like me, I just sit there and I just take it all in. I'll watch some TikToks or something. Because I already know what I need to do to be successful.
Do you go around and like try to help like ease calm some of them?
So I've learned so if I'm doing like a showcase, like if I go to Houston to do a showcase, all these other guys are on my same level. So whatever they're doing to get ready, that's their thing. I don't want to mess with that.
Okay, yeah, like the ritual.
Yeah, and before the show, we'll chat and all that. But if I'm doing like an open mic here, and I know we got a lot of newer guys. I'll talk to hey, how you feel? You feeling good? You got any new jokes? Oh yeah, let me hear it, man. Like tell me the premise, and I'll kind of like, oh, that's a good premise. That's really good, and I'll try to get them to like, hey, like I'll try to hype them up without like,
so they can calm down.
I'm like, no, dude, that's a good joke. I can't wait to hear that. Like I can't wait to listen to that joke.
It's kind of like being that old guy in the gym.
Exactly. Because I didn't have that when I started out, so I always make sure that I'm there for them. Yeah. And and a lot of them come up like, "Hey, I got this new joke I want to test out." Cool, man, let me hear it. And they'll tell me the premise and hey, this is the punchline. And they're like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Okay, I like this. The premise is good. Let's talk about the punchline. Why do you think that's the punchline? I'm not going to tell you that that's not a good punchline. Help me figure out why that's a good punchline." And they'll walk me through it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see how you got there. This part right here, though, so you have the joke and here's the punchline. We got to work on this part right here. And I'll help them. I've helped people write jokes before. And I don't want credit because they've come up with the majority of it. I just give them like a little, oh, hey, how about you do this?
You just sharpen it up.
Yeah. It's like, hey, how about you do this instead? Oh, okay, yeah. And then they do it. Then they go up on stage and the joke does really well or it does really bad. Either way. And it's like, okay, let's come back. I was like, hey, man, obviously that didn't work, but it's a good premise. The punchline still works. Let's move it around. Let's see what works. Maybe we tell it a different way. Maybe we, there's some times where you do the punchline and then tell the joke, and then people are like, oh, like there's different ways to do comedy and everything like that. And I always tell them, I was like, hey, I'm gonna give you some advice. It's free advice. If you think your joke that you wrote is the best way to tell is the way you did it, do it, man. I was like, I'm a nobody in comedy. This is my 2 cents. You can take it, you can leave it. And sometimes they'll go up and their joke, the way they wrote it the first time, is perfect. And I'll be like, nope, you didn't need me. And it builds their confidence. But the other thing too is if I help them out, if I help them write that joke or help them piece together or add a little one-liner in the middle, I'm like, yeah, see, dude, you had it. You just need a little help. You just need a little push. Yeah. It's like either you're going to lift that weight or you're not. If I got to just throw 2 fingers on it and help you lift it up, it's not like me grabbing the weight and lifting it up. You're still lifting it. I'm like just barely, I'm just giving you just a little bit of help.
I love doing that too. Just all you're really doing is you're really guiding it.
Yeah.
There is some weight that you've been like, some people shouldn't be touching and you do.
Like if they're in danger, I'm grabbing that weight and I'm like, okay, hey, look, we should talk here.
And there will be those people that get upset too. They're like, man, you can tell by their body language and everything, but it's like, that's why recording it is so good. Cause I'm like, you go back and check that video out. I had to deadlift that thing off of you, And
that's the thing too. I was like, man, I don't want you to get hurt, especially if I'm there spotting you, And there's been times in the past where I've grabbed a weight when I shouldn't have, and that's on me, and I'll admit it. And I'm like, hey man, I stole that from you, and I'll apologize, and they're cool about it. But like for me, you know, with the years of experience that I have lifting and the years of experience I have doing stand up, I know when I need to step in and I know when I'm like, they got it, you know. And what I love for me is when one of my newer guys, they start finding success and I'm like, dude, you don't really need my help anymore. I'll still help you if you ask for it, but you got it. You've got it figured out. And they'll get booked on a show out in Houston or in Austin or in Waco.
Nice.
And I'm like, dude, I'm so happy for you. Because like it's that rising tide
That's
raises
rewarding
all.
for yourself.
It is, because I'm like, man, I remember when he didn't even have 5 minutes and now he's doing 15-minute sets. That's awesome.
That's the thing that that I love about life in general is that, you know, there's a time when you compete, but I feel like you have to forever be a student of the game and not see everyone as competition.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've said it before and I'll always believe that, man, you are your biggest competition because, you know, people come and go. It's always going to be you and yourself.
Exactly.
That's the only way you get better. But as far as like working with people, you have to forever be a student of the game. Never be too much on your high horse to where you feel like you can't learn. Because I mean, if you work with each other, you can always learn something.
Oh, yeah.
Know? You have to learn something every day, man.
So for me, it's like I'll have a good set, but in my mind, it wasn't a great set. And I'll have people come up, dude, you were so funny. I know I don't say that. Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But in my mind, I'm like, no, I messed up this joke. I did this. I should have done this joke instead. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm already like critiquing myself. But at the same time, I've had to learn, no, you did a good job. We can get better. That was a good set.
Give yourself some credit.
You got to give yourself credit. And for the longest time, and I think it was a drawback to me when I decided to really take stand-up comedy seriously, I took it too seriously. And if I didn't have people, you know, giving me a standing ovation, wasn't a good set. And I had to have a guy who I look up to, you know, he told me, he was like, hey, that was a good set. And I was like, no, let's be honest. I was like, no, it wasn't. He was like, well, why didn't you think? I was like, I didn't get a standing ovation. He's like, dude, I travel the country. I don't get standing ovations. It's like, as long as everyone's laughing, having a good time, that's a good show. He was like, you're too hard on yourself, man. He was like, you could be the best comedian in the world right now, but your attitude is not where it needs to be. And I needed that, you know, because you know, I'm helping all these younger guys out, but there was no one helping me out, you know? And it's like, you know, I can lift all the weight in the world, but if I was to hire a coach, I would take me to another level.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing too. It's just like, you're like being a student of the game. Like, yeah, I'm funny, but I know I can be funnier and I need to keep working at it. And I need to be humble. And I need to take, you know, if someone tells me good set, yes, it was a good set.
Take that, yeah.
Take it in. I'll watch the video later and I'll make it, you know, I'll take the notes and everything. So when I do it the next time, it's going to be an even better set.
Be more fluid.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And that's just in life. You know, you can, no matter what you do, like, sure, you can always do something better, faster, more efficient. But man, when someone gives you credit, man, take it.
Yeah.
You know,
and at the same time too, like you talked about earlier about getting like burnout, and man, we're humans, man. You know, what we do is not everything all the time.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you get too focused and hyper focused on one thing that you don't get to, you know, enjoy the other things.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, I've been there before too, where I've just like got too focused on just training, and I burned myself out because I was being too hard on myself. And I was like, man, I have so much more things that, you know, I can enjoy and that I need to, you know, focus and not let those areas lack. But yeah, like just training in general, man, it does it for me. And speaking of like mental and stuff, back to when I was talking about like here training by myself, man, I did like it did get it because like doing something like repetitive and like that quote, definition of insanity is like doing the same thing over and over. So like training here by myself over and over and over, man, it got like to where I guess not boring, but I'm like, man, you know, it's not fun.
Yeah.
For me, I'm a person that I enjoy helping people. I enjoy communicating with people. Like you said earlier about going into the gym and being like mad and figuring out why I'm mad. I like. Have you ever seen me with the headphones on? Um, it's been a rough day. If you
Yeah.
see me, I do not like headphones, but if I have headphones on, I'm in that mood to where I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna put my headphones on, control what I can because man, maybe the gym is playing this kind of music and I'm already like barely in there. So I'm gonna put my own tunes on and I'm gonna do this.
Well,
But
we all know the international sign of "Don't talk to me" is somebody with headphones in.
But the thing that I love about the gym and the community is that, man, you know, when I have my headphones on, I try to go in there and do that. I do get stopped. But man, the best feeling for me is that I need people to shake me out of that bullcrap because when I take those headphones on, it calms me because good people that we have in the gym, you know, I get a good conversation going, and I'm like, let me take these off, and I take my face, I let the resting bitch face go, and then I'm just like, and it actually lifts weight off of me, like I feel lighter and I feel better, and I start catching my little momentum, my rhythm, and I have a good session.
One thing I do at the gym is if I've noticed someone that's training there the same time I am, I always go up and I always tell them like, hey, seen you here for a couple of weeks, you're killing it, keep it up.
Yeah.
Now,
same way, man.
The thing is, they might just be working out to work out. Like they're not trying to, you know, get stronger. They're just, I just need to, you know, but I always tell them like, hey, I've seen you here, staying consistent, like keep that up. And dude, you just see the biggest smile on their faces, you know, and I do that with, you know, the young cats with the A&M bodybuilding club. And there's a couple
of older guys and everything.
Oh yeah. And then, you know, and I make sure, you know, if they post stuff on social media, you know, give them a follow, give them a like, you know, and like my thing is, you know, if I see someone, you know, posting a video of them, you know, like, hey, just hit a new PR and it's like 155, man, I always do the get it with the 3 muscle emojis. Hey, if that's your new PR, awesome. I'm proud of you. Like, if that's your personal record, that's awesome. I can't wait to see the next one.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see you win.
That's what keep people on track, motivated, and I mean, it does a lot for people. What is that saying that like it costs nothing to be like a good person?
Yeah, it costs nothing to be a good person.
And like that's what I enjoy doing for people because genuinely I do want to see people happy. I want to see people succeed.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, like, what's the point in walking around being upset and then like hating? Like, my thing I never understood like hating, and I think it's different times that people are in, and hopefully they grow out of those things. But never in my life have I hated to see anybody be successful because most of the time when people hate on somebody for having, they don't even want that.
Exactly.
They're like, that's the funniest thing when I hear people hate on somebody about something. I'm like, what is it that bothers you about them having that? Do you want that? And they're like, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Then what is it?
So I will say this: there was a time where I would get jealous of other comedians that I knew, and I'm like, man, I'm funnier than them. Why are they? No.
Why do they have success? You know.
When I finally had to start taking inventory, and I'm like, am I really working as hard as they am? No. I'm like, you're jealous.
Yeah.
You're jealous because they're doing something you're not. And I'm like, dang. So whenever I get that little seed of jealousy, okay, why am I getting jealous? Like, yeah, they're finding success, but why are you mad about it? You should be happy your friend's finding success. And I've had to change that mindset over the last, it was about the last 5 years. I've really started to really change my mindset and everything and trying to be more positive. And I've noticed that because there's always going to be that little seed of jealousy. Well, why? Why am I jealous of that person? And it's something so stupid. And I'm like, that's it. And I have to laugh about it because I'm like, man, that's what made you jealous.
Yeah.
You know?
At least you can laugh about it.
And that's the thing too. It's just like, you know, if I saw someone, you know, find success in stand-up comedy, I wasn't, you know, why get jealous?
Yeah, because
now it motivates me. Hey, if my buddy can do that, there's no reason I can't get on that show, you know? And it gives me something to work towards.
And we've all struggled differently. Like, you don't really know what other people have been through to get to that point.
Absolutely.
And you're like, man, just let everybody have, you know, their celebration. Let them have, you know, their life and stuff. You know?
There's a guy in Houston. He's found so much success, and I finally got to know him. And for the longest time, dude, he was living in his car. He's I think almost 7 or 8 years sober. Like he used to be on meth, and comedy is what brought him out of that. And I'm like, man, knowing that now, when he finds that success, I'm even more happy because he's completely turned his life around. And I love that dude. Anytime I'm on a show with him, I get excited. I'm like, dude, I get to be on a show with him. Like it's going to be a great show, because I know where he's been and what he's done to work where he's at. And that motivates him to keep working at comedy because he doesn't want to go back to living in his car, and now I remember he posted, he was like, guys, this is the first apartment I've ever leased in my own name. And we were so happy for him because we've known how hard he's worked for that.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people don't know those things.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying about it. You can't really hate on somebody because you really don't know what they've gone through, man.
Yeah. But the thing though is even if I wouldn't have known his past, I'm still happy for him. Because dude, I know what that's like. And even like I said, not knowing his past or anything, when someone has a small victory like that, dude, we should all applaud him. A buddy of mine, he's going back and finishing his degree at the University of Houston. He's like, hey, I got an A+ in astronomy. And I was like, dude, I'm so proud of you. If that's what you want to do, if that's what's making you happy, dude, I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
There's no reason to be mad or to put him down or anything because he's pursuing something that he thinks is going to make him better. I'm all for that.
Yeah. Like I said, it doesn't cost anything to be supportive and to applaud people, man. People act as if it's gonna take so much from yourself,
It's not
from your currency.
But I think that's our old age. Maybe if we were younger, we'd have a different.
That's what I was gonna tell you earlier. Do you think that us complimenting and pushing the younger people or just people in general, you think it's from old age, just getting older?
I think it's
not
from
old age.
I think it's because of life experience. Because I mean, if we were to take some of the strongest lifters at the gym, we're probably in that group. So when we see these younger kids working towards that, it's I know where you've been. I've been there. Keep it up. You're going to do great things. And I think it's just because we have so much more life experience and we can appreciate because we've been through that journey before and we know the trials that they're going to go through. And it's man, you just keep doing it. You're going to go somewhere.
It's almost like our responsibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with you, because you have 3 kids. And so for you've got to make sure that you're being that father figure towards them. I don't have any kids, but I try to make it a thing where anyone that I cross, in my journey, make sure, man, give them a compliment, help them out with something. That might be the thing they needed to get through the day, And so in my, and with my life journeys and all that, I've had people reach out to me, years later, hey man, when you sat down with me at the bar and just let me vent, that really meant a lot to me. And they're telling me years later, I'm like, man, I'm happy I was there for you.
Heck yeah. I know you did touch a little bit. Any, I guess, advice that you could give people that, whether it just be dealing with I guess mental health issues or just depression or struggling with I guess maybe diet or weight loss goals
and a lot of those. So one thing is you got to know that you have an issue. You have to admit to yourself, because there was times where I was when I was pushing over 600 pounds, I was telling myself, no, you've always been a big guy. And I have, but I was never that big, and I was lying to myself. You have to be accountable with yourself and you have to be honest with yourself. And because there's no full length mirrors in my house, so I couldn't see how big I was getting. And finally, I started doing content creation on TikTok and all that. And I was like, dang, I've really let myself go. And I had to sit there and have that conversation with myself and be honest. No, you've let yourself go. You need to make changes. So you need to make sure that, you got to take that inventory and look at yourself. Am I the best I can be? What changes, if anyone watching this, if you need to change your diet, track what you're eating. And I did. And for the first day, I was like, I'm eating nothing but garbage. Like, no wonder I'm this big. I didn't have any self-control or anything. And the only thing I noticed is when I get depressed, I'm an emotional eater. So I eat my feelings. And there's a Whataburger 2 blocks away from my house. I was a frequent flyer over there. All right. I'm pretty sure they've taken a hit in the stock after I quit eating there all the time. So knowing what your triggers are, if you know you're an emotional eater, you got to make sure you keep that in check. If you needed someone to help you stay accountable, I did do that for a while. I had to have a friend, if I was, having a bad day and I wanted to go, eat a box of honey buns, I'd text him, dude, I'm having a bad day. I just want to tear through a box of honey buns. He would help me through that. The other thing too is, man, the big thing for me is always being active.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, how do you start as far as like, what would you suggest for them to start? Would it just be walks or
just walk? That's what I started doing actually. So when I realized that I needed to make a change, I was like, man, where do I start? Well, I was just sitting at home doing nothing. It was during the pandemic and everything, so I was literally doing nothing. So I started going for walks. And man, just walking down the street to the stop sign, that was rough. But I was like, you know what? That's the most I've done in like 6 months, And then it was, walk down to the stop sign and then walk back to my mailbox. I was like, okay, that's not too bad. And then I kept adding more walking time, walking distance. And then it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to walk for 30 minutes straight. I'm going to walk for 45. I'm going to walk for an hour straight. And just building those small goals into a big one.
Those are PRs.
Like, exactly. They were PRs. Yeah. And so then it was like, okay, I'm doing good. Now I need to start lifting weights. Because it got to that point where I was like, man, I miss lifting weight. Like, I miss being in the gym. I never missed it. For some reason, something happened and I just quit going to the gym. And because I've gotten such a dark, place, that was my happy place. That was my refuge. It was like, having a bad day, go to the gym. Having a good day, go to the gym. If you're sad, go to the gym. That was my thing. And something happened where that quit happening. So I got a membership at Planet Fitness and I hated it. I was like, no, like, you're not going to spend, $50 a month at a gym that you're not committed to. You can commit $10 a month. So I started going to Planet Fitness and I started, lifting the weights and everything. And, I wore, sweatsuit, sweatpants and hoodie, embarrassed. I hate, like, walking into the gym, just being as large as I was embarrassed that I'd let myself go. But at the same time, I was like, okay,
motivated.
This is going to motivate. You don't want to be the biggest guy at the gym. And I slowly worked my way through it. And then I was like, okay, I'm at a point now where the weight training is good. And I want to go back to that warehouse gym. Like, I'm ready to go there. And so started going to fantasy, started really hitting the weights harder, lifting more weights, more intense. And I slowly, it was like my old self was cocooned inside me and I was slowly breaking it away. And I started like missing the gym, like missing those heavy weights. And so, but dude, this took me 4 years to get here. It was not an easy journey. There was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. There was nights where I was crying. I was in my bedroom just bawling my eyes out because I was so sad. But I was sad because I had let myself get there. Yeah. And I had to forgive myself. And that is tough. Because I can forgive almost anyone for what they do to me, but to forgive yourself, dude, that's a tall order. And I had to work through a lot of stuff, and I was journaling and all these different, reading books. And with like the last 4 years is probably the toughest journey I've ever been on. And now looking at myself now, I'm like, man, I'm actually kind of happy that I went through that I went through all those trials. It's like the hero's journey, like, man, you had all this stuff happen. We worked through it. Now look at yourself. But we're not done. The journey's not over. I've got goals that I want to hit with, the gym, my physique, stand-up comedy. But because I started my journey just going for little walks. And now, I'm close to deadlifting 500 pounds again. I haven't done that since I was 28. 10 years later,
never too late.
It's never too late. And I have friends that, I went to high school with. They're like, dude, you're still lifting like you were in high school. I was like, oh no, for a good 8 years, I wasn't doing anything. I've recently just got back to this. And they're actually even more impressed. They're like, wait a minute. So you got so out of shape and sedentary and you're now back to doing that? I'm like, yeah, pretty crazy, huh?
And they still haven't done anything,
Yeah.
just sitting back. Like my thing with people, they look at it, I guess they're so focused on the end goal
Mm-hmm.
that they're not I guess getting the chance to appreciate the journey.
Yeah.
And some people also, like, I feel like they quit early because, I mean, the beginning is the hardest part. Once you start at the beginning, man, the soreness is
Oh yeah.
crazy. If you take 2 weeks off of squats and you go squat, oh, you're gonna pay. And sitting down on the toilet, sitting down anywhere, getting up, it's gonna hurt. And I think that's what people are really afraid of at the beginning. They run because of the pain.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a lot of people who I want to help, and it's like people like they gotta do it for them on their own. Because eventually, I have people that I try to help, and then they'll literally avoid me and push me away. But I'm like, hey, I respect that. You know, they'll go at their own time.
You know, one thing I love at the gym and doing stand up, I love when if I'm lifting and I can't finish a set, I'm like, oh, I still got work to do.
Yes.
Or like if I'm trying out a new joke and it doesn't land, oh, I'm not good at stand up comedy. I still get to work on this. This joke is not finished. I love that about myself because okay, I'm trying to, hit 405 bench. I tried to do 350 the other day and it was rough. And I'm like, oh man, we still got work to do.
Yeah.
That means I still get to go to the gym. I need to really dial in my training. I need to dial in my nutrition. I need to make sure I'm hydrated. I got all these things I need to do. So that gives me something to work towards.
But you understand that those are all factors, and I mean, we're not robots.
Mm-mm.
Like, we have different stress factors every day, and that's what people need to understand. They're looking at fitness as being hard, and I'm like, it's not hard. It's man, it's a beautiful thing, but I mean, you're investing in
It's
your
hard
health.
work, but it's not.
But you know what's harder? Not being able to do certain things
Exactly.
in life because of, and you don't have to have a six pack, man. But if you can't get up off the couch and you're hurting to get off the couch, or you can't do certain activities, that's a problem, man.
Oh, yeah.
That hurts even more than going to go train. Like, I have family members who I'm like, man, they have back issues, they have knee issues, and they're like, oh, well, I can't do this because this hurts. And I'm like, you know what would help?
Little mobility.
Yeah, a
Just be a little active.
And then also, like, if you go get active, you'll lose a little bit of pounds, and it'll take a little bit of pressure off of those.
I think the thing with us is when people see us and we tell them, hey, you need to start being a little bit more active, they're thinking, Lee's telling me I need to start working out like him. That is not what I'm saying.
No.
Like my mom, she just started getting back into the gym. And because for a while I was like, hey mom, I'd like to see you be a little bit more active. But in her mind, she was like, Lee wants me to go start deadlifting. I'm like, that is not what absolutely not, mom. Please don't do that. I was like, you're 66 years old. You don't need to be deadlifting what I'm deadlifting.
We all start from somewhere, but you find your calling.
Yeah,
man,
so she started doing these group workouts with all her little church friends and all that. And she absolutely, dude, the day she texted me, she goes, I squatted the bar. And I was like, mom, awesome. So proud of you.
Yeah.
She squatted a 45-pound bar. Yeah. I was so happy for her because she's not done that in years, And so, and she sees my workout videos and she was like, I posted a thing. I had the 100-pound, chest press. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I did 20s. I'm like, that's awesome,
that's
mom.
Cool.
Like, I'm so happy that you're doing this stuff because she realized, she was like, oh, I don't want to be one of those old people who's, because a lot of old people, they stop moving. They stop, doing activities. And that's when you see the old hunched over people. And I don't want to ever be that way, So my thing is I need to start doing, and that was a big thing too, was if I keep on this road, my doctor was like, it's like, dude, you might not make 40 if you keep this up. This is when I was 34. And I was like, oh, that sucks. I want to make it.
But it's good because it's a reality check. You always have a choice. And some people shut down, and
they accept it.
Yeah, and
I could have done that. I could have said, the doctor says he's a doctor. But I was like, you know what? No. He doesn't know. He didn't realize this, but I was like, he motivated me. Obviously, he's not my doctor anymore. But I would have told him like, hey, like you telling me I wasn't gonna make the 40 actually like motivated me to get better. And it was a lot of things. It wasn't just my doctor or anything like that. It was a lot of things. It was the big thing. It's the stereotypical. It was heartbreak. Mm-hmm. Like a girl left me and it broke my heart. Yeah. And
so you went in there and did.
I went in there and I posted a video today, and it was like, the reason you haven't found love is because you don't have enough muscles. And I'm like, that's right. That's my motivation to go to the gym. Ladies, I'm single, by the way. But it's like, for me, it's just like, that's my, I go to the gym because it's, and one of the reasons I work out so hard is because I want to look good when I'm on stage. And a lot of people are like, hey, why are you working out so hard? And I'm like, well, because I want to look good on stage. Like, yeah, but people love fat comedians. And that's true, but I don't want to be a fat comedian. Like, I have jokes about being fat, but then I have jokes about losing weight. Mm-hmm. I don't want to just tell jokes about being fat because I'm fat. I want to tell jokes about being fat, then I want to go into the jokes about losing weight. I don't want to just be that. I don't want that to be my identity as a comedian. And so now I start posting. When I went and did a comedy competition up in Appleton, Wisconsin, and was talking with these guys, and we were trading each other's Instagrams, and I had just posted that video of me doing the incline bench of 315. Right. And this guy was like, you incline bench 315 pounds? I'm like, yeah.
That's freaking heavy.
He was like, dude. I was like, dude, I might not be the funniest comedian here, but I'm the strongest.
Yes. I think I did see on your story when you posted that.
So I'd always post that, and those guys are like, dude, they're like, that's actually kind of funny. And I was like, that's the thing. I was like, I don't see a lot of comedians, bench pressing 315. I don't. So that's my claim to fame until another comedian can beat me.
You got a badass story, dude. I'm gonna get ready to wrap this up. Goals, like big goals,
Big goals, man. So
whatever. Comedy, fitness.
So actually, I wrote this down. And I don't tell a lot of people, but I feel comfortable telling your podcast. I wrote down what I'm doing for my Netflix special, like years from now. One thing that really motivates with comedy is there's people in this community who tell people that I'm not funny for whatever reason. I don't know why. And I use that to motivate myself to do better, because I'm going to film my Netflix special here. It's going to be at Rudder Auditorium on campus. And it's like that for me. It's like my intro song is Next Big Thing by William Clark Green. Like, that's going to be my intro song. Place is going to be packed. And it's just like, at the end of the show, it's a huge thank you. Like, I'm like, I'm going to put Bryan, Texas on the map. Like, Bryan, Texas is going to be known that Lee Cross, the stand-up comedian, is from Bryan, Texas. Like, I've wrote all these goals down in vivid details. So for me, it's like, Netflix special at Rudder Auditorium on campus. The other thing is, like, when it comes to weightlifting, just trying to be as strong as I can, lift as much weight as I can. Want to get down, I want to get down to, my 36-inch waist, but I want to be just this mass. I want to be very intimidating. Mm-hmm. But I want people to, when they get to know me, like, oh, he's just a big teddy bear. Mm-hmm. Like, I love knowing that I'm strong, because I feel that when I'm strong, I can help people, not just physically, but strong mentally and emotionally. Those are like the big goals for me. And I have all the little goals to get there. And comedy's just like weight training. There's no end goal. It's just to keep doing it until I can't do it anymore. Same thing for weight. Now, eventually, I'm going to get old enough to where I'm not going to be lifting heavy weights. Totally fine.
Who says?
Well, eventually, I don't think an 85-year-old is going to be benching 300. I don't know. Science might
find a video out
maybe
there.
But my thing is to keep working and getting stronger and being consistent in the gym. That's the goal, is just to always be consistent in the gym, always be active, and have fun. I tell people the day I stop doing stand-up comedy is the day I don't have fun doing it. And I know a guy, his name's Andy Huggins. Dude's almost 90, still doing stand-up in Houston. And I'm like, dude, I hope I'm that old. Now, I might not be touring, but I might just be doing, open mics around town. And that, hey, I'm still having fun. I have fun doing, doing open mics, you don't get paid for that. I love it, dude. It's one of those things, do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
It's true.
So that's the goal. Those are the big goals for me. Just always being active, having fun doing stand-up, Netflix special, things like that. But the goal is just to have fun along the whole way. And man, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, 0 regrets.
Okay. Question I ask people at the end, just like a funny question. If you could be a superhero or have a certain superpower, what would it be?
Oh, okay. I love this one. So I'm a huge superhero nerd. I love Thor. But the reason I love Thor is because, I don't know if you've seen the Avenger movies. When he goes back to see his mom, when they're trying to find one of the Infinity Stones, when he goes to pass. When he has that talk with his mom, I've had a similar talk with my mom. I'm gonna start crying.
No, you're good.
I've had a similar conversation where she was like, "Man, what happened to you?" And I told her, I was like, "Man, I'm going through all this right now, Mom." And she talks to him and makes him feel. Mom always makes you feel better.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's that, then he calls out for Mjolnir and he catches it and says, "I'm still worthy." Bro,
oh man,
I'm in the theater the first night it opens up.
You gotta make me go watch it again, man.
I'm bawling my eyes out because I was like, dude, I've been there, and he is. And another scene with Thor, and very similar to what I've had with my dad. His sister is broke Mjolnir, and he's like, I can't beat her. He's like, I'm not strong enough.
I remember that.
And he's like, I'm not as strong as you, Dad. And Odin looks at me and goes, "No, you're stronger."
Yeah.
Bro, I'm telling you.
That's what I told him.
That's for me. And Thor got real fat, but he still kicked Thanos' ass.
He's a bad mother.
Oh, exactly. And so my thing is like, man, Thor, that is like, man, if I could be Thor. Yeah, because even in the first movie, he gets cast out of Asgard. But he finds his way back. And there's been times where I've been cast out and I've had to find my way back multiple times. It's that hero's journey. But he's not perfect. He's not a Superman. He's flawed. He was cocky and then he gets humble.
Yeah,
and then he finds
it made him better though.
It makes him better. And so for me, it's just like, man, just going through it all. Sure, I'd love to be as strong as the Incredible Hulk, but that's not who I am. I'm that flawed guy who had to go through some stuff and find himself.
Find your way back.
And, then it's time, all right, it's time to kick ass and take names. And so that for me, like, dude, I love Thor. Exactly. And I love that because, with his mom, the conversation with his dad, I've had those conversations in real life. And it's so moving to know, like when you can identify with another person, like I wish I could identify with the Incredible Hulk. I wish I could, with like Goku or Vegeta, but that's not who I am, man. For me, it's Thor.
Yeah, everyone has their own.
Because he had to be humbled.
Because man, we're all still kids,
Exactly. Absolutely. And that's what I love about superhero movies, because like that little inner kid in me. And so when Thor goes through all these trials and all that, and it's like, man, but look how he came out at the end. And time after time with my story, it's like, man, look, I remember there, but look at me now, And the thing is, he still goes on his journey. His journey's not over, And so my journey's not over as well. So that's like, for me, it's like, that's why I really love Thor. Because he's not perfect and I'm not perfect. He had to go through some stuff. And I think that's why I really enjoy his character. Plus, Chris Evans. Yeah. Or no, it's not Chris Evans.
I don't even know.
Chris Hemsworth. He's a good looking dude. And I'm not half bad myself. But yeah, no, that's my superhero.
Okay, that's a good one. Good choice.
Yeah. Hey guys, it's okay to cry. It is okay to cry.
Real men cry.
Yeah, but you can't. Don't sit in it. You got to let it out.
Yeah,
and then go lift some heavy stuff. You know,
never be afraid to let it out.
Yeah.
Well, it's been good, man. I appreciate you coming through today. I know it was kind of hard getting our schedules to.
Yeah, we're both busy guys. I was just happy we got to do it. I was really looking forward to it.
You made this super easy, man. Being a comedian, like I got a win there because funny. I didn't even have to go through this list. He made it so smooth.
Dude, I saw your list and I was like, man, I hope we can hit everything. Yeah. But dude, I had a great time. I love what you're doing. Love what you do at the gym. Man, you got an awesome family.
I appreciate it. And I told you before, man, you are a badass dude. You're a badass.
I know, man. And, I love hearing that from like I know I'm a badass, but when you hear other people tell you that's right. Like it's that when people let you know that you're doing good. Like when I have other comedians tell me I had a good set, I'm like, yes.
You're a big inspiration to people.
Oh, absolutely. Keep and I hope I can keep influencing people to get healthier, to pursue their passions. And I want to be a positive role model to anyone that I come across. Unless you mess with kids or animals, then we're going to have a different thing. We're going to deal with it a little different. But no, dude, like I love what you're doing. I'm glad I could be a part of it. And maybe we'll do it again sometime.
For sure in the future. That's all we have for this one. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you like this video, give it a like. Make sure you subscribe. Share this video. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace. Appreciate you, man.
Dude, that was fun.
It was good. I appreciate you taking the time.
No, dude, like I said, I couldn't wait to do this.
Super easy, man.